Gehlot makes controversial remarks against Nirbhaya verdict, then says those criticizing are conspiring against him, alleges BJP hand. Nirbhaya's mother hits out at Gehlot, seeks resignation and an apology. Back-to-back medals for India at CWG. Ranking rises to number 4 in historic streak.
पॉलिटिकल लड़ाई लड़ूंगा और इन लोगों से भी मैं कहता कि लड़ना है तो मैदान में चलिए.
Opposition fight between JDU and former Union Minister RCP Singh. Latter says will defeat JDU politically. PM makes a strong case for modernizing agriculture to make India a global leader in the agriculture sector in the Niti Aayog meeting. Now, after making a controversial remark against the Nirbhaya verdict, Chief Minister Ashok Gehlot issued a shocking clarification, saying there is a conspiracy to malign him. Nirbhaya's mother, Asha Devi, spoke to Republic TV seeking Gehlot's resignation and an apology from the Rajasthan Chief Minister. The burning question is that someone at a constitutional position like that of Rajasthan Chief Minister making a flippant comment, and then he goes on to justify this, bringing in the political rhetoric and saying that all of this is essentially being done to malign his image. The burning question is the fact that should a sitting chief minister make a comment of this nature, and what is the impact of it, especially for those who've been struggling to bring in stronger laws and also curbing this entire menace. And not just that, what sort of an impact does it have when political leaders make this sort of comments on the ground?
In an outrageous statement, the Chief Minister of Rajasthan declared that death sentences for rape increased in killings.
निर्भया के बाद में जो कर दिया कि आपको फांसी सजा मिलेगी, ठीक है, उसके बाद में हत्याएं बहुत ज़्यादा होने लग गई बच्चियों की. रेप करने वाला देखता है कि ये तो गवाह बन जाएगी कल मेरे खिलाफ में, तो वो रेप भी करते हैं और हत्या भी कर देते हैं बच्चियों की. ये बहुत बड़ी चलन पूरे मुल्क में मैं देख रहा हूँ. जो रिपोर्ट आ रही है बहुत खतरनाक ट्रेंड है.
He issued a shallow clarification.
रेप करना किसे कहते हैं? किसी बच्ची का रेप हो रहा है, नाबालिग बच्ची का, तो उसको मालूम है कि ये बच्ची कल गवाह देगी मेरे खिलाफ में, तो मुझे फांसी की सजा हो जाएगी. फांसी से बचने के लिए वो उसका मर्डर कर देता है. मैं तो खाली हकीकत बताई जो देश में हो रहा है.
And then the rest of the
कुछ कह रही हैं हमें, ये कह रही हैं कि हम अब सहना नहीं चाहते, हम अपने हकों के लिए लड़ेंगे। तो वो जो भावना है उसी से इंस्पायर्ड एक्चुअली ये हमारा स्लोगन है।
Rahul Gandhi, who took 13 days to wake up to Nirbhaya incident under his party's regime, is the Vadra-Cong silence an endorsement of Gehlot's comment? Let's debate.
Joining us on the burning question are Rakhi Rathore of the BJP, Dr. Vikram Singh, former DGP UP, Pratik Shom, Standing Counsel of the Haryana government in the Supreme Court, Sujata Pandey, political analyst. On the other side, Dr. Sumansi Raman, political analyst, Professor Rekha Rao, socio-political analyst, and Rahul Ishwar, activist, joining us on the burning question. Sumansi Raman and Dr. Vikram Singh. Sumansi Raman, I'll come to you first. Now take a look at some of the data and then tell me that the Chief Minister, in a responsible position, makes this sort of a flippant comment, goes on to then justify. Sumansi Raman, according to the National Crime Records Bureau, Rajasthan has recorded about 5,310 rape cases, highest number of rape cases in the country. I'm not saying this, it's the NCRB data. And there is a long tradition or a pattern within the Congress government in Rajasthan to make such comments. There is, back in March 2022, Rajasthan Minister Shanti Kumar Dhariwal had said in the assembly, and I'm quoting Sumansi Raman, we are number one when it comes to rape cases. Why is it so? Rajasthan has been a land of men. What can we do about it? And now you have the Chief Minister who says that, look here, my image is being maligned.
Okay, now let me respond to each of these points. First point is, if more rape cases are reported, it does not always mean that more rape cases are occurring only in that state. It means that more rape cases are being reported in that state, which possibly means women in the state have greater confidence in the police and in the system to actually come forward and report cases. So it's very obvious. This is like, UP didn't have many COVID deaths kind of a situation, right? So that's the first point. Second point, Ashok Gehlot's comment is a very, very important issue that he has raised. And this is not, he's not the first person or the only person to raise it. This matter was debated at length when this new law was brought in itself, saying that there would be a death penalty for rape. For cases of murder, the Supreme Court has clearly said that the death penalty will be given to the rarest of rare cases. Therefore, you now have a situation which, as Mr. Gehlot rightly pointed out, that somebody who has committed a rape now feels that he's got a better chance with the law of saving his life by actually murdering the victim or preventing the victim from reporting the rape in any manner. So therefore,
okay.
The
on that very
needs
note,
to
okay.
be examined.
Sumansi Raman,
that is
good that
really
you're bringing
the
on
point
to,
that
you want.
One second.
Okay.
One second.
You
let
made
me
the
finish
point.
my point.
You made the point. I want Dr. Vikram Singh to at least address the.
This is not.
No,
this
one
is
second.
not Mr. Ashok
Sumansi Raman,
Gehlot.
you can continue. I want a response. Why not have the counter to it? Why not have the counter to it? Dr. Vikram Singh, Dr. Vikram Singh, you understand the law much better than even Sumansi Raman. Sumansi Raman basically makes two very important critical points. One, he says that, look here, one second, Sumansi Raman, Dr. Vikram Singh, I'll just come back to you. I'm told that former Union Minister Rajwardhan Rathore is joining us on this broadcast. Mr. Rathore, thank you very much for speaking to Republic TV. I started with the burning question by citing a data of the National Crime Records Bureau. 5,310 rape cases in Rajasthan. That's the highest number of rape cases in the country. One of the panelists on this broadcast said that there is nothing wrong. Something that you had also pointed out, Mr. Rathore, that the Chief Minister is saying that if there are higher number of cases, that means women are safe and they feel confident in the system, and that's why they're coming ahead and reporting this entire matter. But there is a larger issue that needs to be addressed, and In the course of our interview, Mr. Rathod, I'll also look at the pattern of comments made by political leaders in Rajasthan and the impact it has. I want you to first comment when you hear this statement, the counter that comes in every time when we talk about data from Rajasthan when it comes to rape cases. People say that they feel safe. That's why they're coming ahead and reporting this entire matter. I want your response on that.
So even if you were to agree for one moment, does the responsibility of Rajasthan government, the Home Minister, who is also the Chief Minister, end there? It's all right, I'm registering the cases, so my responsibility is over. You see, if you just go into the last 3 years and how Rajasthan has changed, you will then realize that the police is just not available to general public to protect them. You will also realize that to save the chair, and I'm not saying it for political purposes, that's a fact, that the Chief Minister has allowed all the MLAs that you carry on with whatever you want to do. You will have whoever you want as police officer, you will have whosoever you want as administrative officer. Just do what you want in your areas as long as you are supporting me. That's the problem. In Rajasthan, there is no law and order. Now, there is also police intelligence, which could have been used for avoiding all sorts of conflicts, communal violence, the PFI activities, the anti-national activities there, but none of that. You have the police intelligence being used only for political intelligence. That which of the MLAs of Congress, which of the ministers of Congress are now speaking to BJP or others and what is happening politically. Now, when you do that, it creates an atmosphere where neither the police intelligence nor the police that is protecting the people is now available for the people. So this is the background. Now the number of cases have gone up. Rajasthan is number one statistically. You've said it. Even if you see this year's, the first 4 months of data, you see it is the number of rape cases in Rajasthan has gone up by 31% higher than the last year. I mean, this is not what Rajasthan was known for. And therefore, the Chief Minister is abdicating his responsibility by saying, oh, you know what, it's all done. I'm registering the cases. My responsibility is over. That's not over. That's just the beginning. And now if he makes a statement, and, well, I'll come to that. You'll ask me later. So, to answer your first question, this is it.
Mr. Rathod, I also want to ask you the political side of it. The Chief Minister makes that flippant comment. Then you have a so-called clarification coming in. And I was hearing that while in the newsroom. Chief Minister of Rajasthan says that my image is being maligned. You're not looking at the core issue. And it does not end there. The Congress party goes a step ahead. You've had Congress party's Rashid Alvi saying that he's a senior leader. One should pay heed to what he's saying and perhaps deliberate upon it. We've also had panelists who are here on this broadcast saying that it's a serious matter that has basically been raised. Even when Nirbhaya, the laws that were being passed at that point in time, it was also deliberated upon. I want you to at least clear the air as far as this issue is concerned, politically also.
Well, Rajasthan Chief Minister has been explaining things out very simply. He has simple explanations for everything. And he seems to be speaking for anybody who's sort of committing the crime. When there were riots that happened, the communal violence that happened in Karoli, he just simply explained it that, no, all of this has happened because there was a Jai Shri Ram Nara that was raised. In a way saying that, if Jai Shri Ram Nara is raised, it's all right for communal violence to start. When Kanhaiya was beheaded in that brutal manner, the Chief Minister of that state says it's a simple murder. On the first day, he said that it's a simple murder case. Can you even believe a Home Minister of a state, a Chief Minister of a state, just washing away his responsibility by saying that at that point of time? Now he's saying that the number of rape cases going up, the deaths going up. So he says, well, you know what? It's all because of the punishment that has been the punishment of hanging, which is there, or death penalty, which is there. It's because of that. So there is a time and place for all these arguments, and that's the parliament. And if you go back, and I check back because this has been going on through the day, on the issue of hanging as penalty, death penalty as a punishment for rapes, the Congress was also in agreement. in the parliament. So this is not a time to come up with these statements. This is a time for the chief minister to realize his responsibility and to protect the people of Rajasthan, to create an atmosphere wherein women feel safe in Rajasthan. It's a time and place when people are not feeling safe in Rajasthan. People are issuing threats, all sorts of threats. People are committing crime, and there's some anti-national elements who find Rajasthan as a safe haven right now. That is the problem.
When you see that senior Congress leaders, even for that matter Priyanka Gandhi Vadra, Ladki Hu, Lad Sakti Hu, the campaigns that the Congress party has spoken about, espoused about, it turns out that in multiple such issues that have taken place in the state of Rajasthan, they've been completely silent. Does that really embolden leaders like Ashok Gehlot and the impact it has? Because, Mr. Rathore, I spoke to Asha Devi, mother of Nirbhaya, just a short while ago. And she was appalled. And in fact, she has gone a step ahead, saying that, not an apology. It's time that the chief minister essentially resigns, because for people like Asha Devi who've been struggling, they've taken forward the movement. They've essentially said that these kind of flippant statements not only brings down the morale, it emboldens the criminal. How would you look into this?
Obviously, absolutely, it emboldens the criminals. It emboldens those who want to create a riotous situation, communal violence. It certainly emboldens them. Don't you remember one of their ministers in the assembly itself was sort of justifying? He said that, and I say it in Hindi. He said, "Rajasthan to mardon ka pradesh hai." He was justifying, and he agreed that Rajasthan is number one in rape cases. Then he says, "Rajasthan to mardon ka pradesh hai." Of course, he had to apologize. I mean, is that even an explanation? So the mindset of Congress is emboldening anyone who wants to commit crime in Rajasthan, and especially in terms of communal violence, especially in terms of crimes against women. Instead of empowering the police, instead of empowering women, instead of giving out quick punishments to set examples, making streets safe in the night, the chief minister going out in the night, ensuring things are safe. Has he even done that? Not a single time. But he will issue these statements. He's behaving as if he's a psychologist for rapists. And instead of doing that, he should do his responsibility.
Mr. Rathore, one final question that I would like to ask you with regards to the allegation that the BJP faces time and again. The Congress party said that BJP should be the last party that should be talking about it, because they would like to remind you at least of the fact that the late or the delayed action when it came to Unnao rape accused Kuldeep Sengar, that you only expelled him after there was a conviction in the case. So the high moral ground that the BJP always claims should be set aside.
No, certainly not. We have about 18 or 19 states with us right now, and it's fair. All those 19 states are faring much better than Rajasthan right now. So Congress should not be the one who should be issuing any certificate to BJP. People feel confident of BJP. That's why it's coming back, because of its administration. So let not Congress issue out any sort of certification. Now, picking up cases like this is certainly not fair, because Congress certainly believes in political tourism. Anything going wrong anywhere in this huge country, they will all rush, all of them, brother, sister, and everyone is going to rush there and create an atmosphere, rather create an issue out of it. Now, why doesn't Priyanka come to Rajasthan? I mean, there have been so many rape cases. She has made not a single statement. She has visited Rajasthan, but she visits Ranthambore, not the rape victims. She's never come there, never made a statement. Neither has Rahul Gandhi made a statement. So they certainly they want to miss out Rajasthan completely. It's not in their horizon at all. It's not in their radar at all, because their own government is there, because they have to answer. So least of all, I forget about brother, sister, least of all, the person who is responsible for the people of Rajasthan, that's Chief Minister Gehlot there. He needs to at least create an atmosphere of better administration. That's his responsibility. He cannot run away from there by issuing out these flippant statements, and that too at a wrong time.
I just want to take one quick question, Mr. Rathore, before I let you go. Has the BJP in Rajasthan actually failed in, at least tackling the government there with, be it multiple statements? In fact, back in March 2022, when I began the program, I was raising this. You've had a Rajasthan minister, Shanti Kumar Dhariwal, saying this in the assembly, that what can we do? We are a land of men. So I'm asking you this question because your party is in the opposition in the state. Are you really failing to hold the government of the day accountable?
We've been raising the issue, whether be it the assembly, be it the streets, or be it the media. Now, there are lots of names that people have now coined for Rajasthan. Taliban is one, Taliban-run state is one, Section 144 state is another one. You have Ram Navami, the Rajasthan government will issue Section 144. You have the Kavad Yatra, Rajasthan government will issue Section 144. You have any sort of such issue coming up where the public is going to come on the street, they will issue Section 144. So, the Rajasthan government seems to, the sole responsibility or their focus seems to be to ensure that the chief ministership's chair just remains intact. And the BJP, of course, has been raising the issue through you, through media, the entire media on the streets. And that's what we can do right now. I mean, I think the last of all would be up in arms against them, which is certainly not warranted. I'm sure the people, there's about a year and a half to go. I'm sure the people are going to respond very strongly to the sort of governance that Shri Gehlot Sahab has shown in Rajasthan.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Rathore, for putting this into perspective and also raising several questions about the way the Rajasthan government has been functioning. Pleasure having you on the burning question. Let's straight away take some of the issues that have been raised by Mr. Rathore on the burning question with all our panelists. Sumanthi Raman, I want to come back to you because you must have heard what the former union minister had to say. And perhaps he's also answered this question about what you had to say with regards to the number of cases that are reported. And Sumanthi Raman, make it a little short so that I want to also bring in the other panelists who are joining in.
I'm sorry. The former minister did not answer a single point. He did not give his opinion. Yes, it was a Congress UPA government that passed that law. And if Mr. Gehlot is coming out and saying maybe it's time to take a hard look at that law again, I think that needs to be appreciated, not criticized like this. And the second point is he says he has the data with him in terms of the number of murders that have gone up, cases of rape and murder. And I'm sure that he should be putting it out, especially now that there's been so much of debate on his comments. So probably tomorrow you will get the data as far as Rajasthan is concerned, which would back up Mr. Ashok Gehlot's statement on this. The point is, this is a very important issue. Okay. And we are, as usual, trivializing it to score political points. And I think that is very, very disappointing.
Okay. I want Dr. Vikram, why don't we look at the issue at hand? We'll keep the politics aside for a minute because at the end of the day, what's really happening, what we are missing out is that the impact that such kind of flippant comments actually have on the ground. Even if he's talking about an issue which has some merit, the way it has been put across certainly trivializes the matter. Sumanthi Raman may actually say that, okay, there is an important issue, but I'm talking about the way it has been put across. Dr. Vikram Singh, as far as this issue is concerned, you've heard both sides. You've heard what the former union minister had to say. Sumanthi Raman is also once again raising this issue, saying that, this has been deliberated when the law was essentially being passed. You as an administrator, what do you have to say about this issue? I want you to set the record straight.
I would say, yes, the people sitting in high official and constitutional posts should weigh their vote very carefully because they have example, responsible and reaction given by Mr. Ashok Gehlot
and scientifically flawed. And it gives a signal that you have a liberal attitude towards the accused of rape And this is what Asha Devi has mentioned. Let us not be insensitive to the problem at hand. Rape is a national problem, and we should have a no-nonsense and zero tolerance to it. I would ask a counter question, and I have handled rapists of all shades, the perverts, handled them personally and interrogated them. Is there any study to prove that if it is not to the contrary, will it increase the incidence of rape? A strong deterrence is the only punishment, and I would even go to the extent of recommending let the Law Commission inquire and examine and evaluate the possibility of chemical castration as well. You also mentioned the case of Kuldeep Singh of Unnao, and I questioned why the higher-ups in the UP police also mentioned IG. When a person is accused of rape, you have no business to address him in these superlatives and these excessively polite terms, and that is where the problem arises. A rapist is a rapist irrespective of his caste, community, or his status in society. And therefore, a no-nonsense approach, book the person and the rapist, ensure proper investigation, adequate prosecution, and conviction. What has not been mentioned is the fact that the conviction rate has also come down from, in the benchmark year is 2007 to 29% just now. This is what the problem is, that the conviction rate has also come down. If, as Mr. Raman says, that it is a welcome sign that the number of cases registered has increased, that goes to show. But what about the conviction part? The conviction has come down, and that is where the problem arises.
The conviction rate is not conviction rate is not specific to Rajasthan.
Sumanji Raman,
I'll
come back to
country, sir.
Sumanji Raman, just allow me to also bring in the other panelists who have been waiting there for a very long time. Roshni Jaiswal, I would like you to come in. As far as the Congress party is concerned, I'll go back to Rajasthan simply because this has been raised and the issues that the state of Rajasthan essentially faces. Now, more women were killed after being raped in 2018 than in 2017. There was a 31% spurt in cases of rape with murder in 2018 as compared to 2017. This was before Roshni Jaiswal, the rapists of Nirbhaya, were hanged. Now, when you have this kind of a statement that is basically issued by the Chief Minister, what do you think is going to really happen? You've heard Dr. Vikram Singh saying that, well, number of cases have gone up, fair enough, the conviction rate has gone down.
Every day, rape cases in India is increasing. This is a fact, right? A country where BJP leaders always say, Beti bachao, beti padhao. After this slogan, every day rape cases are increasing.
Can I ask you a straight, direct question? No, one second. I know you would love to get into the political slugfest. Fair enough, you can continue. But can I just ask you a direct question?
What
You've
about
heard
beti
your
bachao,
party
beti
leader saying, ladki hu, lad sakti hu. Okay, hold on. Please be honest. Forget about political affiliations for a moment. Forget about that. And answer a simple question. Are you really okay that a public representative makes a comment like this? Are we to really forget the number of cases, the way, some dreadful, horrific cases that have taken place? Are we to now handle all of that with a kid's glove?
I want to ask one question. Ashok Gehlot's statement is shocking for BJP leaders, right? They are questioning Ashok Gehlot, sir. But what about Swami Nityanand?
No, it's not for just for BJP leaders, it's for every other citizen.
Yes. What about Swami Nityanand?
No, it's for
he
every
is a
citizen,
minister
Roshni.
of Bharatiya Janata Party. What he did to women, everybody knows. Not over in country, in all over world. Everyone knows Swami Nityanand and Chinmayanand. These are Bharatiya Janata Party leaders and ministers. They are also representative of Bharatiya Janata Party. And what they did, they are questioning Ashok Gehlot's statement. But what they did, everyone knows. It is a shame for Bharatiya Janata Party.
So
they
does
are
that
doing
justify?
nothing for the country, but they are criticizing.
No, fair enough. But I'm not
Congress
saying that.
leaders,
I'm not.
Congress leaders,
Where did I say, Roshni?
They
Where
don't
did I,
have-
Roshni? Where did I say? No. Where did I say? No, I'll ask those questions to the BJP also. Rakhi Rathore can answer those questions to you.
No,
She can certainly answer those questions. But I'm asking you: does that really mean? Does that really mean that Ashok Gehlot can get away by making the kind of statements that he's made? And not just Ashok Gehlot. There are many in your party who made that kind of statements. Is that fine? When you really hear that someone in your party is actually saying that, look here, what can I do? What can we do? Rape happens because there are more men in the state. Are you okay with this kind of statement?
No, I'm not okay with this statement.
I'm not saying
Every girl needs respect. Every girl.
So why keep them there? They are union. They are ministers. They're cabinet ministers. Why don't you throw them out of the party? Lead by example. Tell the BJP that, okay, look here. Tell the BJP that lead by example. I'm not saying what the BJP is doing. We have raised this question about Kuldeep Sengar also as far as the BJP is concerned. BJP woke up much later. But how are you any different?
No, my motive is every girl should be treated as a goddess. Ma Lakshmi, Ma Saraswati, Ma Durga. महिलाओं को ही कहा जाता है, राइट? और उनके साथ ऐसा व्यवहार हो रहा है जिस भारतीय जनता पार्टी की सरकार 8 साल से है. They had came with the slogan बेटी बचाओ बेटी पढ़ाओ, and nowadays no slogan बेटी बचाओ बेटी पढ़ाओ is seen. Only BJP leaders are criticizing Congress leaders' statement. They don't have to do nothing for this country. Yes. They are only focusing on Congress leaders' statement.
Rakhi comes in, and then I'll come to Sujata also. Sujata, I'll come back to you. Just allow me to finish off this political slugfest that our political representatives like to get into. Rakhi, why don't you respond? The question to you is that you are basically politicizing this entire matter. Ashok Gehlot says attempt has been made to malign his image. Sumanthi Raman says that this is a serious issue. You're getting into the politics of it, not really looking into the larger ramifications. We'll break it down threadbare, but I want to get into first the politics that you all are getting into.
Actually, this is a very unfortunate statement which was given by the Chief Minister, who happens to be the Home Minister of Rajasthan. Because, Rajasthan is not known for these things. And in last 3 years, it has become a center for atrocities against women, against innocent girls. And look at, this is not a single statement, Sharman. There are a series of statements. One statement you quoted, ki Rajasthan mardon ka pradesh, and then the second statement was quoted by the Chief Minister that rape cases, around 50% of rape cases are fake cases. I just want to ask one question. There is a provision in section 182 of IPC that police can take action against those person who has given false information. I just want to ask question to the Chief Minister and my fellow panelists that what action you have taken against that? How casual approach you can take against these things, because we are talking about Rajasthan, which according to NCRB is at the highest point as far as rape cases are concerned. So you can't take this kind of, ma'am, please don't interrupt. I didn't speak in between you. Let me complete my point. And
Rakhi,
look at the one figure I just want to put forward.
Shawan,
please,
Rakhi, you wanted to hear, no?
Yeah.
One second. Roshni, hold on. Rakhi is responding. You wanted her to respond to the questions. You say, because you as a party, you have perhaps the moral right, because you feel all your party leaders have made some very glorious remarks. Let the BJP also now respond.
Yeah, thank you, Shawan.
Rakhi, go ahead. Make your point.
Actually, Rajasthan is having 5% of population of India. Yeah, Rajasthan is having 5% of the population of India, but the crime share is around 22% of total criminal cases which were registered in country. And this is because of the casual approach, because of the series of incidences, series of statements which were given by the ministers, by the chief minister alone. And this is because, you don't want to take action against anyone. You were talking about beti hu, lad sakti hu. The statement has become now beti hu, bahut mushkil se bach sakti hu in Rajasthan, because the Rajasthan government doesn't want to take any action against these kind of criminals. In fact, by these statements, they are encouraging these people. And the problem is that Ma'am, what is this? Actually, this is not the way. As a humble request, let me complete, Roshni ji.
Roshni, hold on.
When Priyanka Vadra came to Rajasthan, he didn't...
I'll bring in others also. Raki, complete your statement.
So, my question is that in last 3.5 years, around 7.7 lakh cases were registered in Rajasthan. 7.7 lakh cases were registered in Rajasthan, and out of which 1.5 lakh cases were registered against women crime. So, you are not serious about these things and this gradual approach. Because around 5 years back, Jaipur was the safest city actually, was among the 5 safest cities of the country. But now the situation has reversed. Now we are not in a good position.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
I want Sujata and Professor Rekha Rao to comment. Professor Rekha Rao, the issue right now that we are talking about rape with murder. Till about 2014, statistical figures of rape with murder cases were reflected under the combined motives of murder in the NCRB data. Now, what happened was it led to an undercounting of rapes with murder. Therefore, this entire data is not an increase in the number of incidents, but simply an end to the process of undercounting such crimes. Now, just put this along with the statement that has come in from the Rajasthan Chief Minister. Professor Rekha Rao, aren't we underplaying this entire matter then?
Here I would like to the remark was what has been given by Ashok Gehlot. Is it blaming the society, or was he just commenting or mentioning, or was he trying to bring out the problem in the society? When we see the words without mincing or without taking out of context, what he meant was that he was just mentioning his observation and we are overreacting. That is what I feel. And secondly, when we take his words, his body language and all, he is not encouraging rape, nor he is taking it very light. If you remember the case which happened in around December 2021, Karnataka Assembly Speaker, he commented a very bad thing when he said, when rape cannot be avoided, lie down and enjoy. Those types of sentences are to be condemned. What Gehlot said was just he was bringing a point of concern. Again, I would like to talk about a comment what Mulayam Singh Yadav has mentioned when he said, when he strongly condemned that hanging has to be stopped because rape hai, young blood hai, they commit rape karke. So those types of sentences, those types of remarks are really negative and diabolic. What Gehlot said is, I feel it is a normal observation what he felt, and it was his concern, and now we have to take that statement and we have to check, we have to research, is it really happening? And as he mentioned that after Disha,
Professor
after Disha and after,
are we
1 minute?
Okay.
After
I want Sujata to respond to Professor Rekha Rao. Are we jumping the gun? Okay, are we jumping the gun, Sujata? Because what Professor Rekha Rao is essentially suggesting is that perhaps it was in the right direction. It was with the good intention that there are certain issues that needs to be handled or spoken about. He has not really made a flippant comment, and we are overreacting is what Professor Rekha Rao is saying. Sujata, I want you to respond, and then Rahul Ishwar, you can come.
So, Shravan, it is unfortunate that after 75 years of independence, when we are celebrating the Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, this kind of poisonous mindset will never let India become a safe place for women. And women are trying and justifying and normalizing comments about rape and blaming it on the law rather than emphasizing on the implementation of those laws. That's point number one. Secondly, I heard the other panelist says that the cases are being registered because people have got a faith in the law of the land. Well, if that is the case, then why the rape should happen in the first place? Isn't that the first question? Second thing is, everybody is trying to justify Ashok Gehlot's and looking into the context in which it was said. Well, it is not in the context, but what he said that rape victims are being murdered because there's an increasing, because they fear the death penalty. Just for his information and the panelists' information, in the 21st century, in India, we have only 2 cases where capital punishments were awarded. One in the Hetalpare case, another in the Nirbhaya case. And third point is that while we are justifying and saying that yes, this law should be debated, well, let us remember that Nirbhaya was murdered after rape, when this law did not exist. So what nonsense are we talking here, normalizing and justifying, these kind of comments which are shameful in every aspect. As a woman, I feel personally hurt by such things. No, second, no. You have given enough time. I really need to. One second.
Okay. One second. Rahul, okay. Sujata, make your point. Sujata, go ahead. Okay,
yes.
Sujata, just 30 seconds and then I come to Rahul Ishwar.
Of course. See, secondly, isn't it unfortunate, Shravan, that the Rajasthan, which tops in the matter related to crime against women, Ashok Gehlot, in any of the occasion, has failed to come up with even one model, one SOP of what does he plan to curb these rising crimes in his state. Rather, on every occasion, whether it is the law order situation, whether it is the riot, whether it is Karoli, whether it is Alwar rape, whether it is Lalitpur rape, whether it is Dausa rape, or one of the instances when his minister's son was also one of the accused. He has blamed it on the prime minister, calling it कि ये नफरत की राजनीति कर रहे हैं इसलिए हो रहा है. Has he forgotten that the law and order is a state subject altogether? And why is Priyanka Gandhi keep quiet? She does all kind of political melodrama on the cases which are happening in Uttar Pradesh, but decides to keep completely mum, silent on any of the cases which are happening in Rajasthan. Why?
Rahul Ishwar,
rape is too serious an issue. Rape is too serious an issue.
Rahul, let me just put across the question. 2 issues. Rahul, 2 issues. One is when you have the Congress leadership actually allowing this sort of comments being made not once, multiple times. I've raised that issue. Secondly, when it comes to rape with murder, we've seen what has happened in the case of Nirbhaya. There was a massive outrage, rightfully so, and finally we've had what India lacked all this while, a hard-hitting law. Where exactly lies the problem?
2 points. The first problem is many of us, including we keep on politicizing it. Rape is too serious of a human tragedy to be politicized either from right or left or liberal or nationalist. There is no ideological division to rape. Rape is a heinous crime that needs to be dealt very seriously. If you look at the rape statistics around the world, India stands much better when compared to so-called advanced nations like US and UK. In US, the rates are 27.31. Or in UK, it is 27.31.
Sujata, allow him to respond. Sujata, come on. Sujata, hold on. Sujata, 1 second. Let Rahul. Sujata, come on. Let's not do this. Talking over each other is not happening. Sujata, I'm not letting this happen. Sujata, I'm not letting this happen. 1 second. Sujata, please hold on. 1 second, Rahul. 1 second. Sujata, there's no point. It's a serious issue. We need to look into the facts of the case. Sujata, getting into this entire political slugfest does not really help. So I would request you to, be silent for a while. Let Rahul make his point, and then I want Pratik.
No, I'm not telling about you, ma'am. I'm not telling about you. I'm not telling about you.
You're talking about rape, Rahul. Please understand.
Deep context and in a scientific way.
I don't know why Sujata ma'am is just overreacting.
Let us understand the situation. Hold over. Ma'am, please, let me have my say. If you look at US, it is 27.31. In UK, it is 27.29. In India, it is much better with 2 or 3. With many cases underreported, it's a reality. There are 2 positions to how to tackle it. One is a conservative position which says we need to hang all the rapists. There is a liberal position which says we need to debate. It is a much more nuanced issue. Anyway, I believe both parties should agree that we need to tackle it either by the strong arm of law or along the strong arm of law. We need to have value education like our PM said. start with the boys, sensitization, sex education. What Ashok Gehlot ji said is a very reasonable point. You can agree or disagree with it, but he raised a very reasonable point, which has been a concern world over, saying that people have killed because of this. For example, the unformed Disha case in Andhra Pradesh. What happened in Hyderabad? What happened? So the girl was burnt alive. Maybe because of the fear of these people getting caught. So we need a much more nuanced approach and not a political
But Rahul, Disha case was very different.
Way. But beyond that, Ashok Gehlot ji raised a politician debate.
Disha's case was
Pratik
not different. Here the girl was burned.
You've heard what Rahul Ishwar is saying. I want you to respond. I want you to respond to the exact issue that everyone is again and again saying, that we are trying to politicize it. There is a deeper meaning to what Ashok Gehlot has to say. What is the deeper meaning that you've understood?
See, by this statement, Mr. Ashok Gehlot has undermined his own leadership. See, if I take you back to December 2012, when the Nirbhaya case happened, and under the UPA government, Justice J.S. Verma committee report was formed. And this same committee report came in January 2013, which was implemented by UPA government. So now Mr. Ashok Gehlot is questioning those recommendations which made the rape law stringent. Other point is that not only Congress leadership, Mr. Gehlot has also undermined the dignity of Supreme Court, because in this particular case, for all the accused, the capital punishment was upheld by the apex court. So by giving these kind of statements, he is creating a psychological fear not only on the accused but also on the victims, that if they will come to report such kind of heinous offense, they will have other fear of getting murdered. So this, I don't know how such a prudent man, a senior leader, can give such kind of statement in 2015 when Mulayam Singh Yadav gave such kind of statement. We all are now seeing what is the fate of Samajwadi Party. See, women cannot be under any circumstances leave aside politics. A senior political leader who is representing a state government cannot give such kind of statement, which will, on one side, will save the accused persons, but also most importantly instill fear in the mind of the victims. They will not come in the society to report these kind of offences because they will have a fear, because the head of the state is saying that once you are getting raped, you may also get murdered. I mean, this is beyond any, I cannot understand that how such a senior leader can give such kind of statement.
I want Sumansi Raman, you've already heard about some of the issues. We've already spoken about the fact that this entire rape with murder which were not counted separately earlier. It gave this entire illusion that the incidents of crime have only increased. Now, the point here is that it really does not come out from the statement that Ashok Gehlot was trying to make.
No, the point really is that Mr. Gehlot has even issued a clarification later saying that he has data to back up his statement. He has not apologized for the statement. In fact, he has justified it and said that this is a serious issue and I have data to back up my statement. Hopefully, the Rajasthan government will release this data in terms of the excess number of murders with rapes versus the situation 3-4 years ago. And that would establish what Mr. Gehlot is actually speaking about. But more importantly,
I want Dr. Vikram Singh.
There needs to be a serious debate on this issue. When murder convicts are given life imprisonment and a rape convict is being given a death penalty, naturally, it is common sense that there is a tendency to silence the victim to the extent that the victim ends up being murdered. Now, this is something which anybody can understand in the natural scheme of things, because the accused then gets only life imprisonment.
So what is the alternative?
I want to.
So Dr. Vikram Singh,
one second. I want to share one more statistic.
Sumansi Raman, I don't have much time. I just want an alternative also. I want
we're talking of conviction for rape. Let me talk to you about convictions for gravest of grave offences, including murder. Death penalties issued by trial courts, 30% have resulted in acquittal. 30% have resulted in acquittal in the higher courts. 65% have resulted in commuting of the sentences. So please understand that out of 100 people who are given a death sentence by a trial court, 95% of them are not awarded
you made
a death
your point.
sentence in a higher court.
Okay, Dr. Vikram Singh. Dr. Vikram Singh. Dr. Vikram Singh. Now, Sumansi Raman Singh is basically attaching a logic. He's attaching a logic to the statement that has been made by the Chief Minister, saying that, okay, let's wait for the data to be released by the Rajasthan government, and then we'll understand that there is logic behind the statement that has been made. Do you really find a logic? And if there is a logic, what is it?
Shravan, I have invested my lifetime understanding all these statistics and logics. I have serious observations and reservations in respect of the research methodology of such programmed researches that go to promote a crime. Is there a single study on the planet which says that death penalty promotes rape? It does not. To the contrary, I have gone behind the eyeballs of rapists and I know that they are petrified. Rape is an offense of passion, and when that passion dies down, they have remorse, they have guilt. It is one person, die-hard rapist, who will go to the extent of not only committing a rape and murder. And my last sentence of Justice Krishna Iyer, rape, please understand, murder is the death of the body. The death of the body and the soul both. Let us not trivialize rape, and it is highly irresponsible on the part of Rajasthan Chief Minister to speak in this cavalier manner. And I rest my case.
One last word to Rahul Ishwar. Rahul Ishwar, you've heard an administrator like Dr. Vikram Singh getting into the threadbare of it. He basically lays this entire point that this is, at the end of the day, what many are calling through the day, a cavalier attitude shown by a sitting chief minister.
Vikram Singh ji is one of the most respected police officers I have known, so I respect his words. But at the same, and I agree, I think everyone agrees that there should not be any kind of a flippant attitude. But at the same point of time, Ashok Gehlot ji was raising an intellectual point, a social point to be debated. See, we all would like to, as a person, I would like to see instant justice. We all would like to have some kind of encounter killing, just like what happened in Andhra. But it is not the process of law. We should be more serious about it. There are deep-rooted problems that should be addressed, and there is a depth to it. Rather than having a very gaga attitude over it, there is an in-depth issue that needs to be addressed. I believe Ashok Gehlot ji was raising that point and should wait for the data so that we can discuss this further and arrive at an informed consensus. Because this is a bipartisan issue. This is not a Congress, BJP issue. It's a much more deeper issue where we need to protect our girls from any kind of heinous crimes like this. And yes, there should not be any flippant attitude. At the same point of time, there should be an informed scientific debate which covers many sides rather than a mere calling for killing of rapists, which we all want, deep inside the heart. But we are not ruled by heart alone. There is an element of it. There is statistics, there is upbringing, there is studies, there is a mentality check. There are a lot of layers to it. And I believe we should be patient enough to peel off many layers so that we can come to a conclusion rather than politicize the issue by blaming A, B, C, or D. There is a deeper issue that we need to ponder.
Well, thank you very much, Rahul Ishwar, Rakhi Rathod, Dr. Vikram Singh, Pratik Som, Sujata Pandey, Dr. Sumansi Raman, Roshni Jaiswal, and Professor Rekha Rao for joining us on The Burning Question.
Here's some news from across the country in brief. With the crop diversification, self-sufficiency of oilseed, pulse and agri communities, implementation of the National Education Policy and Urban Governance topping the agenda of the 7th Governing Council meeting, Prime Minister Modi is set to chair the Niti Aayog meet today. Massive row has now erupted over the Niti Aayog meet with Bihar Chief Minister Nitish Kumar and Telangana Chief Minister KCR's decision to skip the meeting. While Nitish Kumar stated recovery from COVID the reason for his absence, KCR called this a mark of protest against the present discrimination trend of the centre towards the state.
तेलंगाना के मुख्यमंत्री श्री के चंद्रशेखर राव जी ने आज घोषणा की कि वो नीति आयोग की बैठक में कल उपस्थित नहीं होंगे। बहुत दुर्भाग्यपूर्ण है कि वो अपनी राजनीतिक सोच इससे उजागर करते हैं।
ISRO today will launch its smallest commercial rocket, small satellite launch vehicle, to put in orbit 2 satellites, offering cheap rides to space and eyeing a share in the burgeoning small satellite launch market. The Azadi Sat has been designed by 750 girl students from government schools across.
Ahead of the 75th Independence Day, over 150 bikers took to the streets of Mumbai in Maharashtra to mark Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav celebrations. The rally was flagged off from the outskirts of Pune, and the bikers were joined by several other bikers at the gateway of India.
हम लोग ने जो बाइक रैली निकाली है, ये सेफ्टी अवेयरनेस के हिसाब से रैली निकाली है। हेलमेट सेफ्टी अवेयरनेस, राइडिंग सेफ्टी अवेयरनेस, और अभी आज़ादी का 75वां जो साल है उसका अमृत महोत्सव है। तो आज़ादी के 75वें साल के महोत्सव के लिए वो जश्न मनाने के लिए हम लोग ये बाइक रैली निकाली।
Days ago, parliamentarians too participated in a Tiranga bike rally on August 3 in the national capital to pay tribute to the freedom fighters. Bureau report for Republic TV.
Amity has been ranked India's #1 not-for-profit private university for 9 years, with top 10 ranked institutions in management, engineering, biotech, law, masscom, telecom, hospitality, fashion and more. Yet another top ranking for Amity University.
Reading allows us to become familiar with ourselves.
We don't read, we won't know what is knowledge.
I just find it very interesting to know people's lives, how they went through certain situations, how they dealt with things.
So wherever you want to go in life, if you read books along those lines, then that would really help you in growing.
Reading could mean a million different things to every individual. What does it mean to you? Visit readindia.info to find out more.
Here's some news from across the country in brief. With the crop diversification, self-sufficiency of oilseed, pulse and agri communities, implementation of the National Education Policy and Urban Governance topping the agenda of the 7th Governing Council meeting, Prime Minister Modi is set to chair the Niti Aayog meet today. Massive row has now erupted over the Niti Aayog
जाती है और एंट्री पॉइंट पे किस तरह क्या किया गया है वो सब जांच की विषय है। अभी इसमें पूरी जांच के बाद पूरा हम लोग कह सकते हैं। फिलहाल हम लोग गार्ड्स को भी सेंसिटाइज कर रहे हैं, सोसाइटी के अंदर भी हम लोग डिप्लॉयमेंट कर रहे हैं।
आप लोगों ने इनसे पूछताछ की, क्यों आए थे ये लोग?